Hello, this is Pavel, and this is today's brief. Let's go to things I read, thought, and did since we have the last video. The most interesting news I read is the story about the large consulting company that used to produce six, seven-figure reports for the large companies, moving away from this model into creating those small reports and giving them away for free. Something that was charging for, let's say, hundreds of $1,000s, they now giving away for free. And this is manifestation of the topic we discussed, that the technology dropping down the value to the zero is not the advantage for the company that provide the service. Yes, it is easy to create, and there's a temptation to continue charging to what we used to charge for the same amount of work, but it's not going to last. Instead, they start giving the report for free and shifting into selling the harness, the setup, how the company can produce the similar report on its own, how to connect data, how to build the intelligence, how to create a context, and how to create a feedback loop to improve it. And this setup, it is technically more challenging than the one they used to produce the report. So they probably will build up to the same revenue stream, but now in a different way by providing the tools for the company to build their own intelligence reports. That's a very interesting move, and this is proves that the value dropping to zero is not an advantage for the company provided those services. Another interesting observation is from the article that explains, and this is not the new thought, it is kind of a theme now, that while AI is writing the code or producing the slide deck or producing report, the need for people who do review and verify the work is just growing almost proportionally. But now I'm thinking from the different angle. When developer wrote the code, they have automatically assumed responsibility for deliverables. So there are more complex setup on the bigger companies where there's a next level of people who do check and validate the output. But no matter how small the company is, there was always someone assuming responsibility for the work produced. Now we introducing technology as a replacement of steps in the process. But as we discussed before, technology cannot assume responsibility for the work produced. Even in the small company setups, it introduces a new role of someone validating the work produced by AI. And the more complex communication between departments, between the areas of work, the more complex validation becomes. But if you look at it from the perspective that people continue be in place and they now using AI, everything stays relatively the same, relatively predictable. Developer now uses AI to produce the code. They're still responsible for the output of the code. Managers now using AI to produce a manager report. They still carry responsibility for that work. And I think that would be more natural way to expand. Instead of thinking how to let machine make complex decisions, and produce complex artifacts without introducing misjudgment or errors. It is better to equip people with AI and let them grow and let them continue to take responsibility and be accountable for the work they produce. The cost of AI is becoming increasingly popular topic in the social and the business circles. We went from the point of early excitement that $20 a month subscription will solve all our business problems before we wake up, to the point that AI cost is rising so fast that unless you watch the numbers carefully, it could eat up any budget. The same model can be several times more expensive or cheap depending how you structure your requests. The management consultant won't tell you that the price of request and price of response for the model is different. No demo shows this, but the way it's structured, the way whether you can cache the request, whether it requires recompute the request every time, you might end up for the same task to be several times more expensive or not. And none of this is noticeable on the small scale. But wait for the next 6 months until you have many of those agents workflows in the production, and the cost of the bill will be skyrocketing, and it will be almost impossible to tell why. Most of the companies will go AI optimization after the fact. They will hit with the bill that is growing every month. And let me tell you, it's not an easy. We optimize one system, and it requires a systematic approach to optimize seemingly small cost of every request. But make no mistake, this is where it goes. And it's very similar to memory management in a computer. Yes, memory capacity grows fast, but we always limit the memory because some of the application eat up too much of the memory. Now let's talk about the excitement about that everyone in a company will be building applications, building systems, building products. For very long time, companies were set up that majority, I don't know, let's say 85% of the company doing what they were told to do. There are standard operational procedure, there are playbooks, there are guidelines, there are policies. Someone in a company knows what the rest of the company expected to produce. And even that is not a simple model. All of a sudden, so we start hearing that everyone in the company will be building applications. How it's going to look 2 years from now when you have shadow IT that is in a size bigger than your real IT, where the nobody controls who saves the data, how it's being saved, how it's being stored, how it's being communicated. The IT most likely will be brought up later on to the picture when they said that there are like 3 or 4 applications and they don't talk to each other and need to be integrated. So that's guaranteed the recipe for rebuilding those applications, rebuilding them as a system. The complexity is not going away. This is the not a new law. The complexity is manifest somewhere else. You make producing front end for end users simpler. The complexity will manifest itself somewhere else, and it's not going away. The modern service company already depends on technology to produce, control, and improve its service. It just hasn't been run this way. Running it like a technology company is the shift, and it is an engineering job, not a strategy slide. I've been building systems for the service businesses for long enough to know the pattern, how to create, how to build it up from components, how to grow from the simple implementation of the workflow to more complex to cover different angles of the company's operations to make sure that technology benefit the company goals. We get to the point when technology company is the future of any service company. The company, the business, the operation needs to be managed, run, and scale the same as any technology company. And when you look in your operation that run by the people, you first need to see inefficiency operation. You need to see the waste of the activities that do not contribute to producing the goal you're targeting to. Unless you manage cost of delivering services, it is going to be exponentially higher. And you always going to be running on a very thin margin. Think about what a well-built system actually has. Every part does a defined job. You can see what it's producing. It improves when something is off, and nobody has to stand over it. It has a feedback loop. When the actual real world, the feedback goes back to the system and help to improve it. So this is how we build technical system. This is how the service company needs to be built moving forward in order to stay competitive. All of the impression that technology make the life easier is wrong. It will raise the expected service baseline. It will raise the customer demand, and it's expected the amount of services to be produced for the same amount of pay from the customers. And of course, it's a very important moment when the small company has increased age over the large companies in the way they move, because it is much easier to re-architect, redesign the service company as a technology company from the ground up, comparing to the large giant companies. Because this is why the large companies usually do not re-engineer, and the new large company coming into place instead. The bigger the company, the more complex the interactions between people, departments, product, the harder it is to rebuild. This is the small to medium businesses' time to take advantage and move fast on the change. This is a real squeeze on the market. While the large companies can have a huge pile of money pouring into AI, the small startups, mid-sized businesses have advantage moving fast from below. A big company has a scale and budget, and it has something else, enormous drag. Changing how the work actually flow means committees, legacy system, a year of change management. It focuses service company doesn't have that weight. One good technical operator who understands the business can redesign the core workflow end to end in the time the enterprise spent forming working group. That is not small story. It is real structural changes, and it has a short shelf life. The window is open now. The opportunity is to move fast and re-architect, redesign workflow processes to lower cost of service delivery, to increase the top line, offer new services, offer new products that are not available. This speed is not available for the large companies. Think, for example, the company's memory, company's brain, everyone is talking about now. The chatbot stateless agent is smart, but not on the data relevant for your company. And while the small company can build the company's cortex to start utilize technology's ability to process real-time, real-world signals, it is much more challenging solution for any larger company. So it is inevitably creates a competitive advantage for any small company. I think we're good for today. Let's go on with the day, and I'll talk to you soon.